So, the whole thing kicked off when a high-resolution photo of Donald Trump appeared online. You know how these things go. Someone snaps a picture, uploads it, and suddenly the internet has a brand new mystery to obsess over. In this particular shot, Trump was leaving an event, doing his usual wave. You know the one. The wave that says, "Yes, I see you. Yes, I am important. And no, I will not stop for questions." Except this time, something was off. When people zoomed in, and the internet always zooms in, they noticed a strange patch just above his eyebrow. A texture, a line, almost like his skin didn't quite match up. It was a kind of detail you'd usually scroll past without thinking. But in the high-definition, freeze-frame world of social media, it became the spark that set off an inferno. Immediately, theories exploded. Some said it looked like cake makeup, the kind you get when foundation meets sweat, heat, and maybe not enough blending time. Others swore it looked like prosthetics. Like the edge of a mask had started to peel away. And that's when the fun began. Cue the internet. Reddit lit up like Times Square on New Year's Eve. Meme makers were in heaven. One person compared it to a Scooby-Doo villain, the kind who dramatically pulls off their rubber face to reveal it was Old Man Jenkins the whole time. Another quipped, "This isn't Trump. It's just some guy in a party city, disguised who got stuck with the last mask on the shelf." And honestly, once people saw it, they couldn't unsee it. That's the magic of internet imagination. You give people one weird angle, one tiny slip, and they'll run with it like it's the Rosetta Stone of comedy. X, joined in too. Users started posting side-by-sides of photo with images of latex Halloween masks, movie prosthetics, even screenshots from Mission Impossible, where Tom Cruise rips off his face to reveal another character underneath. It wasn't just commentary anymore. It was full-blown performance art. And let's be real, there's no putting that genie back in the bottle. Once a weird image hits the internet bloodstream, it mutates, it multiplies, it becomes bigger than itself. What started as a slightly awkward photo of Trump waving outside a building became a meme-fueled conspiracy about whether or not he was actually, well, himself. The funniest part? Nobody was actually serious. Sure, some people were throwing out half-baked medical theories, something about mini-strokes or skin elasticity, but the vast majority knew this was nonsense. The point wasn't accuracy. The point was absurdity. Because here's the thing. Absurdity is what the internet runs on. If it's too logical, too explainable, it dies in the feed. But give people something bizarre, something that looks like a cross between makeup malfunction and Hollywood prosthetics. And boom, instant meme fuel. So here we were, one photo, one weird patch of skin, and suddenly the entire online world was asking itself the same ridiculous question. Is that makeup or is that a silicone mask? And from that moment on, there was no going back. This is the internet in 2025. We take something weird, something that in any other era would have gone unnoticed, and we crank it up to 11 until it becomes comedy gold. I mean, think about it. If someone told you 10 years ago that a slightly awkward photo of a politician's forehead would dominate the timeline for days, you'd laugh. But now, that's exactly how the internet works. Because here's the formula. Step 1, find something a little off. Step 2, exaggerate it until it's absurd. Step 3, make a meme so funny that even people who don't follow politics can't help but share it. And in this case, the raw material was perfect. A weird patch of makeup? That's mildly interesting at best. But call it a silicone mask? Now you've got people's attention. That one twist takes it from meh to meme. We've seen this cycle before. Remember Bernie Sanders at Biden's inauguration? The man wore mittens. That's it. Just mittens. But the photo of him sitting there, arms crossed, looking like he'd rather be literally anywhere else, exploded. Overnight, Bernie was photoshopped into Star Wars scenes, into historical paintings, into album covers. The mittens weren't news. Bernie wasn't even the focus of the day. But meme culture grabbed the image, gave it new meaning, and turned it into a global event. That's what's happening here. Except instead of cozy mittens, we got the possibility of a former president's face sliding off. And let's be honest, that's way funnier. The internet doesn't care about what's real or what's logical. It cares about what's funny, what's remixable, what can travel the fastest. A photo becomes a canvas. A theory becomes a punchline. The sillier it is, the faster it spreads. And it's not just about laughing. It's about belonging. Sharing a meme is a way of saying, hey, I'm in on the joke. I saw the thing, too. It's like being part of a giant digital inside joke with millions of strangers. So when people started posting side-by-sides of Trump and Halloween masks from Amazon, when someone edited the photo into a scene from Mission Impossible, where Tom Cruise peels off his face, that wasn't just comedy, it was community. Because in 2025, meme culture isn't just a sideshow. It's the main stage. It shapes the way we experience events. It turns politics into entertainment, entertainment into politics, and everyday awkwardness into viral spectacle. And that's the real magic. A tiny detail, a wrinkle, a smudge, a texture, gets reframed as something epic. Suddenly we're not talking about makeup application. We're talking about mass conspiracies. Suddenly it's not just Trump waving. It's Trump malfunctioning, like a video game character mid-glitch. And that's why people love it. Because in a world where headlines can be heavy and exhausting, there's something cathartic about zooming in on a forehead and asking, wait a second, is that man real? It's silly. It's ridiculous. And that's exactly why it works. Okay, so let's step back for a second. Why does this even seem plausible to people? Why is it that when someone suggests Donald Trump might be wearing a mask, half the internet doesn't immediately dismiss it as nonsense, but instead goes, maybe it's because Donald Trump has let's call it a storied relationship with makeup. And when I say storied, I mean there are literal photo archives that could fill a museum wing. We've all seen it. The legendary orange glow. That very specific shade that isn't quite tan, isn't quite bronze, but also isn't anywhere in the natural human skin tone catalog. If Home Depot carried this color, it would be called something like Cheeto Sunset or Sunburned Pumpkin. Then there's a sharp tan line around his eyes, the so-called reverse raccoon. You know the look. His face is this blazing shade of tangerine, but the skin around his eyes is pale, like he fell asleep wearing swimming goggles in a tanning bed. It's not subtle. In fact, it's one of the most recognizable parts of his entire public persona. And let's not forget the shirt collars. There are countless photos showing foundation rubbed right onto the crisp white edges of his dress shirts. It looks like someone tried to smudge a Dorito across the fabric. Makeup artists call this transfer. The rest of us just call it evidence. Oh, and the neck photo. You know the one. The infamous shot where you can see the clear line where the bronzer stops. His face is orange, his neck is pale. It's like a before and after picture jammed into one body. That image alone has probably fueled 10,000 memes. But here's where it gets even weirder. The hands. Yes, Trump's hands have their own subplot in this saga. There have been multiple instances where photographers caught what looked like foundation smeared across the back of them. The official explanation? Maybe he was covering up bruises from endless handshakes. But the blending? Let's just say it would not pass a Sephora tutorial. It looked like he dunked his knuckles into a jar of pancake batter and walked away. And here's the thing. Trump himself has never exactly denied his unusual approach to looking camera-ready. Over the years, there have been reports of tanning beds in Trump Tower. Staffers have whispered about self-tanner lotions, powders, bronzers, sometimes applied hastily, sometimes layered like spackle. And the results, well, they speak for themselves. So when people saw that recent photo, when they noticed that strange little patch on his forehead, their brains immediately filed it under classic Trump makeup mishap. Because that history is long, it's visible, and it's unforgettable. And that's why the mask theory hits so hard. Because for most politicians, a weird shadow or a blotchy forehead would just be brushed off. But for Trump, it's part of the mythos. His appearance has always been as much of a talking point as his speeches. The hair, the tan, the makeup, these aren't just details. They're trademarks. So when the internet jokes about him pulling off a silicone mask, it's not coming out of nowhere. It's built on years of watching a man who, whether intentionally or not, has turned makeup mistakes into a recurring subplot of American politics. All right, now let's get into the real fun, the mask theory. Because once that forehead photo hit the internet, people didn't just stop at bad makeup job. No. The internet never stops at logical explanations. It went straight to Mission Impossible. You know the scene. Tom Cruise dramatically ripping off someone's face to reveal himself. Or a villain. Or some undercover agent. Suddenly, that's exactly what people imagine Trump doing on live television. Just pause mid-speech, grab his jaw, and chirp, new face underneath. Reddit users went wild. Some imagined he'd peel it off and underneath would be another Trump, just slightly younger, slightly shinier, like Russian nesting dolls. But instead of wooden figurines, it's just an endless stack of Trumps. Trump inside Trump, forever. Others got political. What if he rips it off and it's Joe Biden under there? They joked. Or what if it's actually Obama playing the longest con in American history? And of course, someone had to drop the classic lizard people reference, because no good conspiracy is complete without reptiles secretly running the government. The creativity didn't stop there. A few posters took it full Hollywood. This isn't Trump. It's just some understudy in a latex suit, because the real guy's on vacation in Florida. Others said, forget latex. This is AI generated. Trump hasn't been real since 2023. It was part comedy sketch, part sci-fi thriller, part satire, the very idea of political performance. And the thing is, it worked. The jokes landed because there was just enough visual weirdness in the photo to make you squint. You look at the texture above his eyebrow, tilt your head and go, wait, huh, yeah, I kind of see it. That's what makes internet conspiracies thrive. They don't need to be airtight. They just need that one tiny crack in reality where humor can slip through. The brain loves patterns. Give people a slightly off photo and they'll fill in the blanks with whatever wild theory entertains them the most. And this one, it was entertainment gold. Because the idea of a sitting president being played by an actor in a Party City mask is just absurd enough to keep you laughing, but also Jewish believable enough in the age of deepfakes and AI puppetry to make you pause for half a second. It's the same energy as those memes where people joke that celebrity doubles are government plants, or when someone zooms on politicians' eye and says, see? Reptilian slit pupils. It's not that anyone truly believes it. It's that it's so over the top, it becomes irresistible comedy fuel. And honestly, that's the internet's greatest trick. It takes what could have been a throwaway 2-second photo scroll and transforms it into a collective improv session, a stage where millions of strangers riff on the same punchline until it becomes bigger than the original moment. So yeah, was Trump wearing a silicone mask? Realistically, no. But in the grand theater of the internet, he absolutely was. And the best part? No one wanted to break the spell. Because the longer you pretend it's possible, the funnier it gets. Here's the thing, though. If you actually ask professionals, they'll tell you straight up, this isn't a mask. No latex. No silicone. No Scooby-Doo reveal waiting to happen. Makeup artists were some of the first to weigh in, and they know what they're looking at. To them, it was obvious. What we're seeing in that viral photo isn't Hollywood-level prosthetics. It's makeup doing what makeup does when it's not applied or maintained properly. Think about it. Foundation, especially heavy foundation, has a way of betraying you. It creases. It clings to fine lines. It settles into textures that you didn't even realize you had. Add in sweat, outdoor lighting, maybe a rush application, and suddenly your forehead looks like it has topographical features you didn't sign up for. It's the same reason why people say, my makeup looked amazing in the bathroom mirror, but by the time I got to brunch, it looked like a map of the Grand Canyon. That's what professionals are seeing here. Cake foundation, maybe layered over bronzer, maybe sitting awkwardly on older skin. And older skin, let's be honest, has its own rules. It's less forgiving. Foundation doesn't just glide. It grabs. It emphasizes. Which is why that little patch above his eyebrow looked like a seam. Now, on the flip side, let's talk prosthetics. Because if it were a silicone mask, experts say it would probably look too perfect. And that's the irony here. Movie-quality masks are designed to create flawless illusions. Smooth, poreless, sometimes even uncanny. Under studio lighting, They look incredible, but under natural light, they can look a little too good. And that's not what we're seeing with Trump. His face looks human, messy, imperfect. There are lines, smudges, weird edges, which, frankly, is exactly what you'd expect from bad makeup, not a Hollywood-grade disguise. Prosthetics experts have pointed this out too. A full silicone mask that covers the face and moves realistically with expression? That's not an easy thing to pull off. We're talking hours in a chair, gallons of adhesive, precision blending at the hairline. That's not something you casually slip on before walking out the door. And it's definitely not something you wear while campaigning under hot lights and cameras. So, when you combine the testimony of makeup artists and prosthetics pros, the consensus is crystal clear. It's not a mask. It's just makeup. Makeup applied heavily, makeup sweating, makeup moving in ways makeup always does. And honestly, that's almost funnier than the mask theory, because the idea of a former president accidentally smearing bronzer on his shirt collar or having foundation cake above his eyebrow, that's relatable. That's human. We've all had days where our concealer betrayed us, or our foundation cracked halfway through the afternoon. Trump just has it happen in front of millions of people with HD cameras. So yeah, the experts are unanimous. No silicone, no latex, just makeup doing what makeup does best, embarrassing you at the exact moment you need it to behave. And that, my friends, is a true face reveal. But here's what's actually interesting. Why do we even care so much about this in the first place? Why does a patch of makeup, or a weird tan line, or a questionable photo suddenly become front-page comedy fodder? Because in politics, appearance isn't just appearance. It's theater. It's part of the show. Every photo, every video frame, every angle has the power to reinforce or unravel the image a leader is trying to project. Let's rewind for a second. Remember the very first televised presidential debate back in 1960? John F. Kennedy versus Richard Nixon. On radio, people thought Nixon held his own. But on TV, Nixon looked pale, sweaty, and tired, while Kennedy looked tan, youthful, and confident. That wasn't policy. That was lighting, makeup, and presentation. And it changed the entire trajectory of that election. Appearance mattered. Fast forward a few decades. Barack Obama was famous for his sleek, tailored suits. They projected control, elegance, modernity. Hillary Clinton's pantsuits? Those weren't just wardrobe choices. They became a symbol of identity, of resilience, of branding. And then there's Donald Trump. His appearance has always been part of the act, part of the brand. The tan, the hair, the suits cut a little too boxy, the bright red ties that hang just a bit too long. None of this is accidental. It's theater. It's visual shorthand for power, wealth, dominance. Even if the execution sometimes slides into parody. So when a piece of that presentation slips, when the makeup cakes, when the hair blows the wrong way in the wind, when the bronzer leaves a neckline sharper than a laser beam, people notice. And not just notice, they amplify it. Because here's the thing. In 2025, noticing means memeing. We don't just scroll past. We screenshot. We caption. We remix. A weird tan line becomes a trending hashtag. A strange forehead texture becomes a global mass conspiracy. A gust of wind revealing a hairline becomes 1,000 gifts before lunch. And it's not just about comedy. It's about control. Appearance gives people a way to puncture the myth of invincibility. Politicians spend millions cultivating an image of strength, control, and polish. But one slip, one awkward photo, reminds us that they're human, vulnerable, messy. And nothing punctures power quite like turning it into a punchline. That's why we care. That's why this silly forehead photo resonated. It wasn't about whether Trump was secretly an actor in a mask. It was about catching the glitch in the performance, about seeing the crack in the armor. Because at the end of the day, politics is theater, and theater only works as long as the illusion holds. The second the curtain slips, even just a little, audiences laugh. And in the internet age, that laughter spreads faster than any official statement or press release ever could. So yeah, the tan, the hair, the makeup, that's not just vanity. It's part of the stagecraft of power. And when the stagecraft falters, the memes write themselves. If you enjoyed this video, Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe.